Because I always tell teams, especially when we teach it, you can have the greatest process in the world, but if you don't have the right person in the seat to follow it, it doesn't matter. They'll screw it up.
You saw what was going on and you were just charging ahead. Why were you in that state of mind? I'm so curious about what was going on in your head during that time.
If you're going to challenge me, don't challenge me part way. Completely back me into a corner and give me no way out. That's when I perform best. Especially entrepreneurs have to realize is you will never do it all. It is impossible because for everything you get done, you're going to add 2 or 3 more things on the list and you don't have enough time.
What do you feel like is impeding growth for a lot of entrepreneurs right now?
But a lot of it really, Aamir, comes down to people process, as we always say. Solve your people issues first, yourself first and foremost as the bottleneck at the top of your organization, of that hierarchy kind of. So many people, I think, make the mistake of, I got to have this massive clarity first. And it's like, well, man, good luck. You're going to be waiting forever. That's kind of like when people say, well, I'm not ready to have kids. Well, you never will be. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah. Welcome to The Show Goes On, a podcast about the people who keep businesses running behind the scenes. My name is Aamir Noorani, and today I'm joined by Patrick Metzger. Patrick is an expert EOS implementer, entrepreneur, business coach, and speaker, and the founder and CEO of The Greenhouse, where he helps leadership teams across North America build stronger, healthier businesses through EOS. Also a certified exit planning advisor and value builder advisor, Patrick brings deep expertise in scalability, value creation, and succession planning. Patrick, thank you for being here today. How are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me, Aamir.
So when people ask you what you do, how do you usually answer?
Man, I usually say we grow businesses and owners to the next stage. That's our core focus statement at The Greenhouse, kind of our umbrella company that we kind of have all our offerings tucked under. Because whether you're an early entrepreneur looking to, develop a plan, get off the ground. We don't work with as many companies like that anymore. Most of ours are more kind of in that growth scalability phase where how do we really expand this thing? How do we get more profit out of this? How do I get out of the weeds as an owner is one of the biggest things we hear all the time. And then really kind of third phase is, hey, how do I start to think about or what should I be doing now to really exit my business? So for us, it's always what's the next stage for you as a business owner, for you personally, what do you want? Where do you want to be? We have the tools, the resources, the expertise to help get you there.
Okay. What do you feel like is impeding growth for a lot of entrepreneurs right now?
Man, everything from themselves getting in the way of all of it, especially earlier, smaller businesses. It's really hard for owner slash CEO slash sales slash business development person, sitting in 4 or 5 seats themselves. How do they get themselves? Where do they begin to start getting themselves out of those weeds to create scalability? That's a huge one. So a lot of work we do is around structure, roles, responsibilities, especially like within the EOS process that we implement with a lot of organizations. Making sure that teams have the right data, the right processes. But a lot of it really, Aamir, comes down to people processes. We always say, solve your people issues first, yourself first and foremost as the bottleneck at the top of your organization, of that hierarchy kind of. And then making sure you have the right people around you have the right structure in place, but then making sure that you have the right processes then now to really scale your organization because so many businesses lack really strong quality control just around how they operate, how they do things. They're reinventing the wheel every single time they do it. So if you can really solve the people issues first and the process issues next, a lot of things really start to fall into place.
That's so funny. I was about to ask you that question next is what comes first, people or process? And why are you such a proponent of working on the people issues first?
Because I always tell teams, especially when we teach it, you can have the greatest process in the world. But if you don't have the right person in the seat to follow it, it doesn't matter. They'll screw it up.
Yeah.
Right? They'll make errors. They'll, not follow it. But the opposite, you can not even have a process. And if you put an awesome person in the seat, number 1, they figure it out. Number 2, they'll develop the process. Number 3, they will refine it. They'll make it better. They look at everything with a process improvement mindset. So it's always get the right people in the right seats first.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother and I have a saying: first who, then what? The famous Jim Collins thing.
Yep.
Yeah. How did you get started working on EOS? Like, tell me about that. What was that journey like getting into EOS?
Yeah, it's a very unorthodox manner. I will tell you that. People ask me all the time, like, "You did what? And how and you're doing this now?" So my background originally, I grew up in a crazy small town, central North Dakota. Originally went into teaching, taught for 11 years, was very heavily involved in coaching. So coached a lot of athletics, football, track and field, got very into strength and conditioning stuff as well. And about my 8th year of teaching, I really started thinking like, man, there's something else I want to do. I mean, this has gotten mundane. It's kind of the same thing, literally. Like I'd catch myself year over year, like, did I do this already? Did I say this already? Or was that last year? You know? So my 8th year, I really kind of started thinking about things. And then I switched locations to kind of vet out, like, is it teaching I need to leave or is it a different environment I need? And then I got into my 11th year of teaching and it just hit me like a brick wall. Like, I got to get out of here. This is not it. There's something way bigger and I have no idea what it is because I did not like the personal and professional ceiling that being a teacher provided. You know, there's only so much you could do unless you wanted to go into administration or something. And unless you are a glutton for pain and punishment, you probably don't want to go that route. I didn't want to go that route. So left teaching partway through my 11th year and ended up doing a couple odds and ends, did some executive recruiting, managed a gym. And then I read the book Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. And when I read that book, Gary V, yeah. Right. I read that book and those of you that aren't familiar with the book, it's all about building your own brand. And a lot of it is like online scalability. And I really started thinking like, man, the skill set I have around just coaching, health, wellness, nutrition, strength and conditioning. I'm like, why don't I do my own thing? I could, and I've never taken a business or entrepreneurial class in my life. I mean, growing up like through high school or college or anything, but when I read that book, like, man, some spark came alive in me. And I started putting together my own online health, wellness, coaching, consulting business. Okay. And while I was managing a gym, long story short, made my boss fire me from that role. And I ended up launching into my own coaching consulting business. And I mean, I had a personalized, customized app, everything. Started working with individuals all around, the area. And then it became the US. And then it became up into Canada and North America. And very shortly into that journey, I started working with a business coach out of San Diego. And I will always give the dude props. His name is Peter Scott. Awesome then And literally, it was like the second week of working with him. We were on a Zoom call and he was asking me like, hey, you got all your stuff done? And I'm like, yep. And then he asked me, he goes, Patrick, what are we doing here? And I kind of looked at him like, well, I'm ready to rock, man. Like I did all my homework, what's next here? You're like, how are we going to scale this thing? Cause I was burning out writing all these customized plans and stuff for everybody. And he goes, no, Patrick. He goes, I'm going to tell you something. He goes, I've worked with a lot of people. And he goes, I have not worked with a lot of people like you that have so much gas in the tank. He's like, you got to go way beyond this. He's like, you got to go beyond health, wellness. He's like, I see you on a stage, speaking, working with businesses. Like he goes, you have that type of ability. And I want to see you get there. So literally we started, in the next few months, like transitioning my business from working, writing workout programs and nutritional programs for people and plugging them into the app for them and doing, Zoom calls with them to really way more holistic life coaching. Cause I've always taken all my coaching I always do. I take a really holistic view, even with owners today, like the family approach, where are you at mentally? I mean, how's your business doing? How do you feel about yourself? All of that stuff. I really kind of love diving deep with owners and leaders around that stuff. So, I started going that direction into really life coaching. And then that started elevating up into really more one-on-one high performance coaching where owners and leaders were coming to me to help them with time management and organization. And, let's talk values for our organization. Let's talk some process optimization. And one of my CEOs I was working with, I was doing one-on-one stuff with, we were talking about his messy vehicle and all the books in the back seat that he has because he's a reader. He's a hound for information, just like me. And he mentioned the book Traction. And I was like, oh, what's that one about? And he goes, you might actually really like that one. He goes, book by a guy named Gino Wickman. It's an operating system. It's got a lot of tools. He goes, it actually has, some of the stuff that we're literally doing kind of right now in there. He goes, you should check it out. So, I love to read. I love to listen to a lot of podcasts, stuff like that, books, audio, read them in bed, whatever it is. So ordered the book and, came a few days later, whatever it was. And this was in 19. This was about September of 2019. And could not put the book down. I'm just kept flipping and just could not get enough of it. And I'm like, this is what every single owner I have ever worked with is looking for. Because it is a comprehensive system of everything put together and it all integrates and it's simple and it works. And I couldn't stop reading the thing. Finished it. And I remember I immediately told my wife, I'm like, I know what I need to do now. And she was like, oh God, what now? Because at this point, I had quit teaching. We had adopted a daughter. I had done a couple different jobs. I got fired from a job, started my own business. But she looked at me, she believed in me. And she's like, if you believe that we can do this or that you can do this, do it. So I'm like, hey, I'm flying to Denver. I'm going to start training to become an EOS implementer. And I went in very late November of 2019. And fast forward a couple months, started with my very first company on Valentine's Day of 2020, which we all know was a month before COVID hit. But man, I just kept ripping. I kept going. COVID. Right through COVID. Yep. Yeah. I remember doing talks and stuff the first couple months. I'll never forget walking into a hotel out in Western North Dakota to work with one of my very first clients. And the guy flipped over his business card when I checked in at the front desk and he started writing a phone number on there. And I'm kind of looking like, okay, whatever. And he hands it to me and he goes, Patrick, here's my cell number, or didn't know my name. He goes, here's my cell number. He goes, you're the only one in the hotel. I'm going home for the night. Call me if you need something.
Wow.
And I go, has anyone else been in this hotel? He goes, we've had a couple truckers here and there the last couple weeks. This was end of March 2020. So
this was during the dead of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. This was end of March or beginning of April, right at the onset of COVID. And I remember just going, what? There's 100, 200 rooms in this place and I'm the only one in the joint. No one's in here tonight. But so that was kind of the beginning journey. And then fast forward to now, I've worked with almost 100 teams and I've done probably right around 600 sessions with companies all across North America. And I've had some virtual global companies and absolutely love what I do. But it's ironic. It's still coaching. It's still teaching. And I literally just told a team that was in here the other day, I said, believe it or not, you guys, I said, I'm doing everything that I've always ever done. It's still teamwork. It's still execution. It's still have a clear vision. It's still about putting the right team and people in the right seats and positions to succeed. So I'm coaching everything I've ever known before because those principles go across the board. It doesn't matter if it's, a classroom, a football field, a gym, a boardroom with business owners now. It's all the same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't change. And that's one of the things I was curious about is how is your background in teaching and coaching athletics and being in a school environment, how has that influenced you in your coaching EOS career now?
Yeah, when I first was considering EOS, I was like, man, I don't know a whole lot about business. I'm not going to lie. Or I just haven't had the experience of it. I pick up on stuff pretty quick. So I called a few implementers and they literally told me, they said, Patrick, if you can teach and coach at a high level, they said, all you need to know is learn the tools of EOS really well. And they said, you will pick up on the business stuff and the specific business things for your clients really, really fast. And I was like, all right, I'm trusting you guys. And then, go drop 40, 50 grand, whatever it was on training to become an implementer with, I remember sitting there the first day with my very first company, like, oh my gosh, am I doing this stuff right? Like every implementer does. But yeah, it's the same. It's the same concepts, but it's crazy how I always tell people you turn around and you look back at your past and everything lines up and makes sense. In the moment, sometimes it's really hard to be confident in the direction you're going. But when you look back, it's like, well, of course I did this and then I did this and I did this. Because it all led me to where I am now.
Yeah, I think Steve Jobs has this cool line about how you can only really connect the dots in your life when you look backwards, right? When things have already unfolded. Then it
Yeah,
makes
100.
perfect sense why it happened that way.
Yeah, and people ask me, Aamir, like, well, how did you know what to do next? And I always say, I just kept following the breadcrumbs.
Mm,
Like, I just, like how I went from workout plans to life coaching to high performance to, owner leadership coaching, succession coaching, that type of stuff, is because I just kept following the opportunity to help people grow just more and more and more. And that's like I said, our core focus statement is growing businesses and owners to the next stage. And that's what I always just look to do, because as I helped people get to a further stage down the road, I kept growing myself, and it kept pulling me forward to kind of the next stage professionally as well. And I'm a big believer in your personal ceiling is only, or your professional ceiling is only ever going to be as high as your personal ceiling can go. So as I just kept helping people at a professional level, I kept growing and growing and moving forward and higher from a personal level too. And it just kept pulling me into the next thing.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. Especially your line, what you just said, follow the breadcrumbs. And I feel like a lot of times life is like that. You kind of just have to go with the flow, but also just notice the signs around you.
Yeah, because so many people, I think, make the mistake of, I got to have this massive clarity first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, man, good luck. You're going to be waiting forever. That's kind of like when people say, well, I'm not ready to have kids. Well, you never will be. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to wait till I'm ready to change jobs. Well, yeah, you're never going to, I did, I had kind of a awakening and stuff, but a lot of people, I don't think, get that. So you just got to take the leap and move forward, and you find clarity as you keep going of who you want to be, where you want to go. And if you just look to help other people and grow yourself, man, it's amazing the places it can take you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it is just about taking that leap, like you said. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I have a lot of, teacher friends that were like, man, it's so awesome what you're doing. I wish I'd have done something at one point. And I'm like, I did it for 11 years. It's never too late.
Yeah, you still can. Yeah.
Yeah. But you hear so many excuses like, oh, well, I couldn't stop now. I've already done this for 25 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about Gary Vee. Gary Vee's, I don't care if you're 55 or 60, go do it.
Yeah.
There's how many stories of people that have done that. Colonel Sanders, KFC, didn't he start it, till he was 55, 60, whatever it was. Never too late to just, man, go be and do who and what you want to be and do, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What kept you going during COVID? Like you said at the end of the March, you went into that hotel. You're like the only one there. So I'm very interested in that particular time. Like you saw what was going on and you were just charging ahead. Why were you in that state of mind? I'm so curious about what was going on in your head during that time.
Yeah, I'm a very, very big proponent of, if you're going to challenge me, don't challenge me part way.
Mm-hmm.
Completely back me into a corner and give me no way out. That's when I perform best. So, even when I decided to become an implementer, that was the attitude I took, was like, dude, there's no way out. One of my favorite quotes, is Robert Frost, the only way out is through. And I've kind of lived by that in my life. And I prefer that. I don't want a backup option or two options that I can fall back on, because most people will take that option because they are just mentally weak, and it gets really freaking hard. And that's just the way it is. So for me, it was like, this is the only way out and through. You got to keep going, no matter if you're successful or not. And if you're not successful, you got to figure out a way to be successful. Mm-hmm. And that's really just the approach I've taken. And that's one of our EOS values, grow or die. It's one of our values we've stolen from EOS also, that we use at our, at the greenhouse level, is there's no status quo, man. If you aren't moving forward, you're going to die. You're going to get lapped. Competition's going to eat you up. So you got to keep moving forward. That's your only option.
So you saw COVID and you saw that as opportunity. Like, I'm going to charge straight through this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was tough for businesses,
Mm-hmm.
And we had some businesses, drop out and stuff. But it was amazing seeing a lot of businesses only survive because of, coming in and helping them. with whether it was EOS, or whatever it was that we were helping them with at the time. Because at the beginning, I was doing some other things a lot as well. But I just kept pushing.
Yeah,
I guess.
Where did this perseverance, this attitude come from? Like, did this start at a younger age? Have you always been like this?
I think part of it is being the youngest of 5.
Okay.
I have 4 older brothers and sisters. They were all crazy successful. Most of them, all of them academically, large majority of them, around athletics and stuff. I signed to play collegiate football, as a quarterback and stuff. So a lot of this skill set, was honed through athletics and just the not always good mental mentality, though, of older siblings and the expectation of being and having the level of success that they were at as well. That's been kind of a double-edged sword for me over time. And you should, I think a lot of younger people struggle with that. Like, there's a bar set and you have to meet that bar. And if you don't, it's kind of well, geez, you're the only Metzger kid that, wasn't a valedictorian of your class or something, so there was a pressure there that wasn't always healthy. But man, it's created me who I am today and kind of forged who I am today with that mindset. But a lot of it was just athletics. I had phenomenal coaches over the years. Basketball coaches, football coaches. And that's why I went into teaching originally. I went into teaching because I had massive influence in my life from a lot of those people. And I've kind of followed in the footsteps, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think that sense of healthy competition within a family can be helpful. As long as it's not toxic, I think it really can inspire you to become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, and ours never was toxic in any way, and there was never a pressure, but you kind of form it in your own mind, and there's
self-inflicted, right?
Yeah, a little bit, and then there's some of the subconscious where it's like you kind of pick up on it and feel it. It maybe is not directly stated, but it's there.
Yeah, I hear that. And then with athletics, there's so many lessons that come out of like playing on a team or playing individually that translate over to business and career. So I could totally see that as well.
Yeah. And I realized part of me leaving teaching was, I mentioned I signed to play collegiate football. And one thing that prevented me from doing it was I had busted up my hand as a senior in high school, and I was a quarterback, and I have a bunch of screws in my throwing hand. And my hand, doesn't fully work anymore. And that was one thing that never actually allowed me to even play collegiate football. So part of what I realized, like when I was teaching and coaching, was I was like trying to chase something that I felt like was taken from me. Mm-hmm. And finally I got to a point where I'm like, dude, you're never going to get it back. It's gone. Like, the opportunity is gone. You're never going to get it through some other weird method. You're not going to coach and all of a sudden get this fulfillment like, oh, I'm good now. So that was a big reason why I left teaching. Is I finally realized, like, dude, I had so much of my identity wrapped up in that without ever realizing it. And once I finally mentally was like, I got to get past that and I'm going to flip the page. It was like starting a new life. Honestly, when I left teaching, I don't even remember a whole lot of it because it's kind of just in the past and it's by me, and I've kind of flipped the page to a whole nother life.
Wow, that's really self-aware. I'm just like taking that all in, because what you were saying about your identity just being tied up in something like that, and you realize this is something else that you were chasing this whole time. And then being able to leave that behind, really, I don't know, you were able to let those attachments go, and it's gotten you to where you're at now.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, when you mentioned that, where's the drive and perseverance and stuff come from, a lot of it's right there. I know it is. Mm-hmm. And it's not always healthy. It's, I'm the kind of dude where I go on vacation and I can't help but bring a little bit of work with. This time was the best time ever, like truly relaxed, really didn't do a whole lot of work, but I'm the dude sitting by the pool, and I'm hacking notes into my phone because my brain's racing about work. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying the moment, but ask any entrepreneur there.
Oh yeah. That happens to me all the time.
You can't just put it away.
Yeah. I think what helped me the most is finally finding the to-do list I'll stick to. Because now whenever I think of something, I'll just quickly throw it on and then I'll jump back to the present moment. But I have to record it. Otherwise, like, it eats me alive then.
Yeah, like this guy right here.
Oh my God, I love that.
We're up to 36 items on today's right now. No, 39. We have a second page started already. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But every 2
never-ending
weeks,
to-do list, right?
yeah, every 2 weeks that thing gets refined, and the stuff that I know is never going to get done gets compartmentalized into a Word document, and that's like my dream sheet of like, revisit that, once or twice a year. And
So is that your system? Like you just write everything out, and then if it stays on there for too long, you just like kind of archive it and throw it into something else, or?
yeah, it's just like we teach clients, everything has to be triaged appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Because man, you start chasing the wrong thing without everything in front of you that you want to, should do, could do.
Yeah.
If you don't triage that thing, man, you will run loops in a million different directions. So, I mean, yeah, my Word document is probably 8 pages. And like I said, I come back to it, I mean, every maybe 8 to 10 weeks or so for sure, every quarter. Sometimes it's way more often. Sometimes I'm looking at it weekly, but that thing is where everything that doesn't get off this list pretty fast ends up going, and it's all triaged. That's exactly how we do issue solving in EOS too. For a company, you build out your issues list and you look at the top priorities and you attack those, you solve them. And that's what keeps you moving in the right direction, because there's so many things you want to do, and you're never going to get it done. And I think that's a big realization people, especially entrepreneurs, have to realize is you will never do it all. Mm-hmm. It is impossible, because for everything you get done, you're going to add 2 or 3 more things on the list, and you don't have enough time. Yeah, that's a bad pace. You're never going to catch that pace.
So how does someone deal with that then? If they know, if there's this feeling of, wow, it's never going to end, there's always something else to get done. How do you keep things rolling? How do you stay afloat and not be discouraged?
To me, it's very much the system that you operate within. And it's exactly why we do that with EOS. If it's not a priority now, boom, put it on your long-term issues list. And I think the issue people run into is, I literally grab a random Post-it note on my desk. This is one of 2 right now. That's on my desk right now. You look at most people's, what they have in front of them, it's a million things, man. Mm-hmm. There's Post-it notes, and there's shit all over the desk, and there's stuff in their pocket, and there's stuff on their nightstand. And you're looking at all of it. You're thinking about all of it. And it is like bigger than an elephant. Mm-hmm. So when you compartmentalize everything and you put it away appropriately, but you still peek at it, you still look at it. I always say, does it move from the back burner to the front burner? This is my front burner. And if it doesn't get cooked this week or in 2 weeks, then it goes to the back burner or goes in the freezer, man. Think of it like that, kitchen analogy there. And you have to keep that stuff away from you, because, man, when you're a driven entrepreneurial mindset, you will be consumed with thoughts and things and to-dos. And you can only look at so many at a time and focus on so many, because otherwise you're just going to get drawn all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that, organizing your personal workflow and almost putting it like in an EOS style of short-term and long-term. I never thought about doing something like that, but I feel like that would help, because sometimes there's things that need to get done, but they're not particularly important to do right now. So just simple prioritization helps a lot.
Yeah, a huge part of that too, I always coach clients on is have one landing spot. One. Mine is this notebook. Mm-hmm. I've tried doing it digitally. I can't do it. No. The nearest digital thing or the closest digital thing I can do is I'll put stuff into my notes, mm-hmm. and then it gets transferred immediately from my notes. I'll like literally when I was in Hawaii, I added all these notes into my phone because it was easy sitting by the pool, holding my phone. And then when I got done with vacation, I emailed the note to my email. And now that thing has been triaged out, and it either made this short-term list or it got put into my Word document.
So your written list, that's your short-term list. That's the thing.
This is my short-term list right now. And this is this is my landing spot. And then my Word doc is my kind of storage or freezer of what I need to periodically look at to see if that needs to be taken out and thawed.
Yeah. I mean, it must feel good to be able to look at your short-term list and just see the sheer volume of things you're able to get done in a day then.
Some days are better than others.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
But it's taken me a long time to really figure out what works for me. And I think people have to experiment with it a little bit. Some people do it all digitally, or they use OneNote or something, and it works great for them.
Yeah.
I think bottom line premise, though, is you can only look at so much, and it has to be very limited.
Yeah. For my team, I think EOS seems to work pretty well. All the to-dos and the issues that we have on the list. Me personally, I use Google Task.
Yep.
And so that's obviously it's connected to Gmail, and then they have an app as well. But I think one of the things I'll probably start doing is organizing it in the short term and long term, because there's some stuff that just kind of hangs out on there for months. And it's got to get done, but it's not super important right now.
Yeah. And I always use the analogy of like the physical space of your brain.
Yeah.
The more stuff you look at, it's like a ping pong ball in there.
Yeah.
There's only so many ping pong balls that can bounce around in there. And for you to stay clear and, minimal stress, anxiety and stuff. Mm-hmm. So when you dump, that's the purpose of a clarity break in EOS, right? You dump it all out, you put it on paper, you compartmentalize, you just freed up a ton of space. You develop more confidence, more clarity. That's the whole purpose of that.
Yeah. How do you conduct a proper clarity break? Like what is good protocol?
Yeah. Purely in EOS, we always say it's sit down with a blank notebook and just start ripping. The longer you can sit there, your brain, when you sit, when we teach clarity breaks, when I specifically teach clarity breaks, I always ask people, when does your brain just run wild? And they all say the same thing. I'm in the shower. I'm driving with no music on. I'm lifting weights or exercising. I'm sitting on my lawnmower. I'm riding bike. The reason why is because your brain starts to enter a different wave pattern. You start to enter a more creative, deeper thought wave pattern. I always make the analogy of you start flipping deeper into the file cabinet mentally, and your subconscious things, or the things you've kind of stuffed down because there's so much crap up there, starts to surface. And when you just sit with a notebook and you just start writing and you get deeper and deeper kind of brainwave wise, it just starts coming more and more and more and more. And you keep thinking of more, and you keep thinking of better thoughts, and you keep thinking of things that have been buried, and there's more detail behind it. So it's literally just sitting with a notebook. Kind of as long as you can. Some people do a half hour, some people do an hour. My favorite place to do it is sitting on an airplane because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I usually turn on, I'm a Delta snob when I fly, unfortunately, but I turn on the Delta Deep Focus mixtape. I think they just took it off of there in the last few months, but I've found it on Spotify now. So whoever made that, I give you massive credit because I looked for it for a long time. But I turned on just easy listening music like that. And man, I just start writing in a notebook. I'll leave, I'll come back from a trip with 10, 12 pages of just clarity break notes written.
Wow.
Every single thing you can imagine. Personal stuff, professional stuff, marketing thoughts, blogs I want to write, things I got to do for clients, people I want to connect with. Everything just starts popping.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of this work you do on a plane because you're just high up there and not much to do, and you just throw on Delta Deep Focus on Spotify and you just let it go.
Yep.
This podcast is now sponsored by Delta Airlines.
Yeah. Throw me some miles.
Yeah.
I always like those.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say that's a really great way to do a clarity break. So I feel like a lot of it is just like putting the phone away and not looking at devices and just writing pen to paper, old fashioned way, right?
Yeah, there's I feel like I'm a slower speaker because I speak like I write. I don't write real super fast, but there's a lot of benefit when you write something down. Number one, you remember it better, but number two, it makes me think at a deeper level, because if I write or talk super fast, I can't put my next thought together. Mm-hmm. So when I write something out, it slows me down and it allows me to generate more deeper thought on the next things coming. And it's just like a snowball coming. So the more I write, just the deeper I can get and the more things I'm thinking of, just like when I speak, I have a tendency to speak really slowly at times because the next thought's coming. If I speak really fast, like I get lost in my thoughts and I can't think of the next thing I have to say.
Yeah. And they say that the more you write, the clearer thinker you become then.
Oh, I would 100% agree with that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a reason why in EOS sessions, I mean, we do a lot of things manually.
Yeah.
A guy actually, this was 2 days ago, a guy in one of my session room goes, "Hey, how come like you weren't giving us like PowerPoint decks and, slide decks and like a bunch of handouts and stuff?" And it was funny because before I even had to answer it, one of his team members kind of laughed and was like, "Dude, it's because you retain it better. It slows you." He said everything I just said. And I was like, "Dude, you get it." and this guy's got a ton of experience. So it was fun having his teammate, though, call it out and tell him before I even really had to say anything.
So you're a proponent of not doing all the handouts and everything.
I mean, yeah, we do some of that, but I mean, we do a ton of stuff on a marker board. I do some stuff, pop it up on the computer or, on my big TV screens, like in my session room and stuff when I'm teaching or coaching. But a lot of it, I mean, I could literally show you right now my marker board out. I have 12 feet of marker board or 16 feet of marker board out, like right out my door here in my session room. The whole thing is filled because our team just in the last couple of days roadmapped a product that we're putting out this summer, the whole damn thing from A to Z. Wow. And so we didn't use a Word doc. We didn't use a computer. It was all just whiteboard, boom, 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 throw spaghetti on that thing.
And do a lot of clients travel to you or do you travel to them?
Almost all of them travel to us. We have
really
a few that we go to. Most of them are kind of longer, like legacy type clients where I started like that. Okay. But large majority come to us. And biggest reason why we almost basically require it now is number one, we have everything we need here, but it's so important for them to get out of their space and into number one, a different space, but number two, something that is very intentionally designed based on what we want out of a session. I had a owner. It was funny. I had an owner about a month ago. He came in here and he walked in right away at the beginning of the day. And he's like, "Damn, I just love being in this room. It just gets me jacked and motivated and ready." And I laughed and I'm awesome. That is exactly why you guys come here.
What is it about the room? You said one thing is they're just out of their normal space, which I totally get, right? When you're at home, you have all these things you have to take care of and you're just thinking about errands you have to run. What else is it besides that?
It's how everything from how the room is designed. It's closed off from everything else with our office, but yet it's really bright and airy. It's surrounded by beautiful glass walls that are frosted and the sunlight's coming in the one side. And we have snacks and coffee and everything very strategically placed. And there's motivational stuff on the walls and EOS related things on the wall. It's very much like, you go to a spa, you can't help but check out, relax.
Yeah.
Everything from the music that's playing to the scent that is in the air to the lighting. Like we take that exact same approach, in how we've designed our session room too, to make it very deep thought, motivational. It's inspiring. That's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's a lot about how the environment is designed, right? Similar to what you were saying earlier about the writing. I feel like you combine the writing with a clean and clear environment. All this results in better thinking, which means as an entrepreneur, as a coach, you're more clear-headed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as Tony Robbins says this all the time, your physical state determines your mental state.
I like that.
So if you're in a really awesome, fun, encouraging, motivating environment, you will think in that manner. Right. If you're in a very calm, cool, collected, easygoing, relax your mind environment, it turns your brain into that wave pattern. Just like the clarity break, right? You get away from everything. I turn on my music, relaxes me, stuff starts coming. So adapt the physical environment to the mental mindset that you want.
Yeah. One other question I have is Greenhouse. That's the name of the company. What's the inspiration behind that? Where did Greenhouse come from?
Yeah. So greenhouse came from looking at, when we were looking at what's the umbrella name, for the different things we do, because we do mainly EOS, we do strategic planning, we do workshops, trainings. We're launching a massive product here this summer that's really going to add a ton around exit planning. So I'll have to give you some info on that here in the near future. That's literally what we road mapped out today. It's already in the works and stuff, but we wanted kind of a final vision board for it. But when we were looking at what is it that we do for everyone that we work with, and this came from my big deep why, which I got massive clarity on a few years ago on a random discussion with a gal from, ironically, Dallas, when she wanted to talk to me about speaking and stuff. That's when I really developed my massive clarity around my deep why, which is everything I've always ever done in my entire life. Teaching a kid how to do fractions, coaching a quarterback on how to throw a deep hole shot in a cover 2 coverage, to how to effectively do a power clean, to how to effectively now document your processes and build out a scorecard. And, all that stuff has revolved around one concept, and it is getting someone to learn something to get them to the next stage to improve themselves. Mm-hmm. So when we looked at that concept, everything we do is about getting someone to that next stage, right? Whether it's early stage business, you want to grow, you want to scale, you want to exit, you want to build value, whatever it is. And then who do we work with? We grow businesses and owners. We move them to that next phase, in that life cycle. So when we thought about that, well, it's like, damn, we're like working with all these little or large plants, and we are helping them mature and grow. It's a greenhouse concept is really what we're doing. When we bring people into our session room where we coach with them, we are helping them grow. Well, what does that effectively and provides the right environment and resources? It's a greenhouse.
Yeah. And what I love about that is when you help other people grow, what ends up happening is you yourself grow too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Just like I said, through my whole journey, I'm a lifelong learner. I literally, if you could see, I have a big canvas up on my wall right here. It says, "The dream is the journey," which is a PJ Fleck quote, the head football coach for University of Minnesota Gophers. Okay. One of the best personalities in college football, young, crazy, motivated coach. But I heard him speak here in Fargo. Actually, I think it was during COVID. But that was a theme that he hammered on was the dream is the journey, man. There is no destination. There's no finish line. Just like in a business, there's no, eventually for every business owner, there's a finish line with exit. But you know what? The next phase for you then is what the hell are you going to do after you sell your business or exit that thing?
Yeah.
What's your next stage? Mm-hmm. Because most business owners, when they leave their business, 75 to 80% of them within the first year are unhappy with how they exited. And the biggest reason, other than they didn't get the value they wanted, is because they don't have an identity now after exiting. So you got to look at life. You got to look at businesses. You have to find the intentionality and the fun and the success in what you're doing now. And I won't lie, that's one of the hardest things for me to do because I'm a horizon chaser, right? But I'm never going to catch that. Yeah, you never catch the horizon. You'll never get there.
Yeah, it's so important to work with the exit in mind, but then at the same time, you have to have a deep appreciation and passion for what you're working on right now. And then, like you said, I've heard these stories so many times now where that entrepreneur finally gets that dream exit he wanted, and then what, right? And then what happens after that? And you see this happen to a lot of athletes as well, right? They reach the pinnacle of their careers, and then they end up retiring and they're so happy because they're going to get all this time back. And then you see a lot of them struggle afterwards because so much of their identity was wrapped into being an athlete. Same thing with entrepreneurs. So much of our identity is wrapped into being an entrepreneur. What happens when that business that required your time and persistence no longer needs you? Who are you then outside of that?
Yeah, I'll take a random sport. You and I were talking right before we started this. Take a kid that was put on hockey skates at 2 and becomes a prodigy at age 7, and NHL teams are watching him at age 10, and he retires from the NHL at age 42. He's done that for 40 years. He's been praised around that for 40 years. His whole life has revolved around it for 40 years. And now we're going to take every single thing about that away from you. And now you go be a regular dude.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
That is tough. That is hard. That is hard. That type of transition and average, like the normal people won't be able to empathize with that as much just because, athletes make a ton of money. But I'm just thinking that was very difficult for anyone to have to go through and having that identity just stripped away from you.
Absolutely. One of my favorite books is a book called Driven by Doug Brackman, Dr. Doug Brackman. Awesome dude. My wife and I were on his podcast a couple years ago, and the whole book is about high performance mindset and like that mindset of chasing the horizon and just high performers, and statistics show that like, I think he says about 93% of the population will just kind of live status quo, do whatever. But about, that 7%, they'll never be fulfilled. They chase the dopamine, they chase the rush. That's your business owner and athlete mentality there.
Yeah.
They're highly prone to addiction and making bad decisions and things. They'll create their own fires. That's how they're wired. That's how they're programmed. But there's so much identity behind that when an owner walks away from the business, it's exactly like, the hockey story that I gave you there. Imagine building a business for 30, 40 years and every friend you have is tied up through the business. Every connection you have is in the business. Your dollars are all in the business. And then we take that thing away from you. What do you got left? If you've created someone and something outside of the business, you'll probably be in pretty good shape. But if you haven't done that, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
It's just like when I did a lot of life coaching, every single person I worked with, that had marriage issues, the number one reason why was because their kids had just left the house and they were now empty nesters, and they looked at each other and they wondered who the hell each other were. Wow. They never started hobbies, or they never went out with friends. Everything was around their kids, activities, all of that. And after 20 years, 30 years of doing that, and then all their kids are gone, they looked at each other like, who are you? Well, I don't know who you are. Everything was centered around their kiddos.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to take the time to just be there with your partner, right?
Yeah. And put that in the business setting. You have to have things outside of your business. You need connections, you need friends, you need identity, you need hobbies. And that's hard because it's your baby, man.
Yeah.
That you're working on and
keep
building.
Improving it, and you feel like any second you're away from it, there can be that sense of guilt. But really, yes. It's probably an investment in your future self when that thing is no longer there, right? Because if you plan it the right way, you do get that exit, you get what you wanted, but you have to make sure you have your life outside of it then.
Yeah, I mean, the proverbial story of an owner sells their business because, I'm going to travel and play golf and I can't wait to have the time to do that. And they do that for about 6 weeks and the thrill of it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I was with an entrepreneur the other day and he was telling me he had an exit, and he was telling me I got bored very quickly because I don't like golf. I don't enjoy small planes, and I can't be on a boat for too long. So I was like, yeah, that about eliminates every fun activity you can do whenever you're, recently exited.
Yeah, right. When there's nothing that the business isn't there to go back to, mm-hmm. You go, okay, what is there now? What is there for me?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Patrick, this was a lot of fun. Before we end, I want to ask you some quick rapid fire questions.
Absolutely.
You did mention a book before, but what is your favorite book right now?
My favorite book right now, man, right now I'm reading not my favorite, but I'll tell you what I'm reading right now. I'm reading Becoming Supernatural, I think is the title of it, by Joe Dispenza. And it's on manifestation.
Yeah.
Oh, love that space.
Yeah.
And his stuff is so good, man. He's got so many good podcasts and stuff out there.
Yeah, he's great. I love him. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. One of my all-time favorite books, one of the books that really set it off for me was 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell.
Okay.
That one's so good. 15 very specific things that every person can really look at and relate to around who you are, leadership, it's a really awesome deep dive and put in the mirror. I mean, looking right in the mirror as an individual and seeing where you are in life. Are you getting what you want? Who have you become? Who do you still yearn to be? That's one of my all-time favorites. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And your favorite TV show?
Oh man, there's only one, dude. It's Seinfeld.
Nice.
And I'll move my camera over. You can see can you see him over here? Oh, I go this way. There he is. There's my Kramer.
That's so cool. Nice.
Okay. Yeah. People are shocked and love that when they come into my office. They're like, "Is that the Kramer?" I'm like, "That is the Kramer." Yeah.
I love that. Did you ever check out Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No, everyone is, and everyone's like, "Oh,
God.
dude, you got to watch that if you love Seinfeld." And it was one of those shows where, once you get so busy, like I don't watch TV, I don't watch a ton of shows anymore, but it's something I do need to put on my list to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Seinfeld fan, yeah, of course, because Curb Your Enthusiasm is a Larry David classic, right? It's incredible. It's like one of my favorites. So,
yeah, no, I love the nothingness of Seinfeld, but man, the acting in that series was just so phenomenal and just rolling. Yeah, it was the only TV show I've ever had a tear in my eye when it ended.
Oh man.
When they did the last episodes, around, when they got arrested in Nantucket or whatever. Yeah. And then they did the next, the wrap up episode, with where they run it to Time of Your Life by Green Day and all that. I mean, I was literally like, there's never going to be another new Seinfeld episode. This is a tragedy.
Well, if there's any incentive, they did a reunion episode on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So,
for real? Oh, I definitely have to check that out.
With the whole cast, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Second one would be going back to my childhood, and that would be like Saved by the Bell. I hate to admit, but
yeah, great show. Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining today. Before we sign off, any final takeaways for everyone?
Man, I mean, the biggest one I always come back to is do what you really want to do, be who you really want to be, and create what you really want to create. The older, ask anyone that's seasoned or older, and they'll tell you all the same things. If you ever read Ronnie, God, what's her name? She was basically a hospice nurse, but the 5 regrets of the dying, top 5 regrets of the dying. That is a humbling book where she was a nurse that sat with hospice patients, basically hundreds over the years. And every single one of them had the top 5 regrets. I mean, and it was like, I would never truly acted like the person I wanted to be. I worked too much. It's all the same things, but life is so short and it goes so fast. You can't not do what you really want to do. Whether it's start a business, whether it's grow your business like you really want to do, if it's family related. I mean, I'm talking more business specific things, but take the risk, take the chance, get the help you need, get the resources that you need, because learn from those that have done it, that have the experience. Work with a coach. I mean, coaching has been the most crazy. There's no ROI better in the world than working with a coach. Mm-hmm. There's none, because the outside facilitation and point of view and someone to point out your shit right in front of you and hold you accountable to doing the things that you stated that you want. There's no greater ROI in the world. I mean, other than probably being a parent, man, right? Mm-hmm. The ROI there is, you can't touch that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, LinkedIn is my biggest platform. So just search my personal name, Patrick Metzger, on there. You can find our website too, growing4success.com with the number 4 in the middle there. Those are 2 best places to find me. A little bit, Facebook, Instagram. We don't put a whole lot on there. We're going to start doing a little bit more. Yeah, LinkedIn or email me too, patrick@growing4success.com. I mean, I'll definitely answer your email. I love jamming with people on anything from personal stuff to big dreams to business, exit. Love answering questions. I'm a teacher at heart, man.
Cool. Patrick, thanks so much. Appreciate you. Okay.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on, Aamir.